Thank you, everyone. If I could ask you to take your seats, please, and we'll get started. Thanks, everyone. If I could ask you to take your seats. It is 6 p.m. Councillors, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could just get everyone to take their seats. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just gone 6 o'clock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Littleton. I'm the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the City of Stirling, and I would like to welcome you to the 2020-2021 City of Stirling Electors General Meeting. This Electors General Meeting is conducted in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and regulations and the City of Stirling Meeting Procedures Local Law 2021. It provides an opportunity for electors to consider the City's 2020-2021 annual report, as well as deal with any general business. Council accepted the annual report of the City of Stirling for the year 2020-2021 at the ordinary meeting of Council held Tuesday 15th of February 2022. The annual report includes the annual financial statements and the Auditor's report. I will now hand over to His Worship the Mayor, Mark Irwin, to welcome you all tonight and to preside over this meeting.
Thank you very much, Michael. On behalf of all of the elected members, I'd like to welcome you all this evening and thank you for coming along. It's great to see so many of you still turn out and us be able to still have these meetings despite those restrictions that are in place. Just a reminder, it remains mandatory for everyone to have signed in using their Safer WA code and the hard copy register and all. If you haven't already added your details to our attendance register, if you could please make sure you do that before you leave this evening. Please also note that for administration purposes, this meeting is being digitally recorded and it is also being live streamed this evening. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge all of our councillors who are in attendance this evening. You will notice depleted stocks around the table. Those who aren't here are attending and they're doing it via the live stream. Obviously, our CEO is also watching via the live stream. Michael will be acting this evening, but many of them have been asked to isolate for different reasons, whether they've been close contacts, etc. And of course, I would like to acknowledge the attendance of the City's Acting Chief Executive Officer, who will be assisting tonight, and the executive team. I'd also like to welcome those auditors from the Office of the Auditor General and EY, who will be presenting later on this evening. The order of business for tonight's meeting is included in the agenda, which has been available on the City's website since the 21st of February 2022. The order of business can also be reviewed on the copies of the agenda placed on your seats, and the full agenda and proceedings will be displayed on the screen. A record of attendance is being recorded for this meeting. I haven't received any apologies for this evening. Mr. Blanchard, do you have any apologies?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have apologies from the Chief Executive Officer, Stuart Jardine, and the Director of Planning and Development, Stev Roddick.
Thank you very much. So we will begin. On behalf of Council, I'm very proud to be presenting the City's annual report for 2020 and 2021, which showcases the breadth and service of the City services in one very thorough and very transparent document. As with last year's EGM and presentation of the annual report, this reporting period occurred during a time our community was reeling as the impacts of the pandemic became more embedded across the globe. Due to some delays outside of the City's controls with financials, we have needed to hold our AGM much later than usual. So we appreciate you bearing with us as we've had to wait and we revisit the reporting period from back in 2020 and 21. This was due to a delay in information from Mindarie Regional Council that is required for the City's financial statements to be signed off to the Office of the Auditor General. This information wasn't received until late in December. The City has delivered countless important projects and services, and I'm proud of what our Council and our administration has achieved by working alongside the community and our stakeholders, including both levels of government. Last financial year, I assured the community the City would help during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm pleased we delivered a range of COVID-19 support measures in this reporting period. We froze rates, we offered tenancy relief for businesses who lease city assets. We sponsored events, we assisted community groups, and we accelerated our capital works program. Our 21-22 budget position was strong, debt-free and balanced. Our capital works continued through the financial year with over $55 million spent on capital investment, including the turning of the sod on phase 1 of the centrepiece of our City of Stirling Centre project, the Stevenson Avenue project. We announced a refurbishment of the Terry Tyzack Aquatic Centre in Inglewood, which I'm pleased to report is currently nearing completion for the first phase of those works in the indoor area. In August 2020, the City invested in the revamp of the Mount Lawley Town Centre with new street trees improvements to lighting, street furniture and shopfront improvement grants. We introduced business activation grants, the Community Groups Assistance Fund and the Sport and Recreation Clubs Assistance. In total, the City Grants Program saw more than 80 grants given to community groups, 425,000 to community sporting groups, 800,000 for arts and creativity funding and 250,000 for small businesses. We progressed $62 million worth of transport infrastructure projects announced by the federal government, including Grindlefoot Reserve Balcatta, Rickman Delaunay Reserve, Inglewood Oval Hamer Park and Medham's Pool erosion works. We endorsed a homelessness strategy in August 2020 and we delivered a 40% increase in Meals on Wheels during our lockdown periods. Our beach services team saved lives, completing more than 20,000 preventative actions, 318 rescues, 487 first aid assistances and 3 resuscitations. As well as major events such as Possum Day Out and the Binner Parkland Community Open Day, our neighbourhood event series saw 12 community events attract over 10,000 local attendees. In October 20, we launched our first Containers for Change refund centre, which has been hugely successful. We also continue to deliver on one of our core roles as local government, with over 44.5 thousand tonnes collected from the waste bins. The City's advocacy for a trackless tram to support our Stirling City Centre project received a $2 million boost from the federal government in late 2020, keeping us on track with our big, bold vision for innovation. Council endorsed the first Sustainable Energy Action Plan 2020 to 2030 to set our targets and direction to reduce carbon emissions and increase renewable energy use. Our successful Blink Photography Awards drew almost 300 submissions, and 2020 was the first year the awards were held online in November. December 20 saw the opening of the Nala Jukin Healing Centre to deliver specialised services to women, children and families at risk of experiencing domestic violence. Throughout 2021, we celebrated the 150th anniversary of the Perth Road Board, the 60 years of the Shire of Perth and 50 years of the City of Stirling. Importantly, these anniversaries recognise and celebrate our migrant history and that the city is on Muru country, land that has been home to the Whadjuk Noongar people for more than 60,000 years. Recognising and celebrating our local history remains a constant, with Mount Flora Regional Museum providing a window into the past, and our biennial History and Heritage Awards highlighting our history. With lots of ongoing opportunities to reflect on our broader Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island Indigenous history, our migrant history and our combined local achievements, the City remains equally committed to recognising our past, but also creating a better future. In January 21, we presented our Community Citizen of the Year award winners, Gary Hale overall, Kay Littlelow, Senior, and Akash Parekh, our youth. The Good Chat Foundation was a group for their efforts to make our community a better place for everyone. Supporting our local arts community, April saw the launch of our first Artist in Residence program in Mount Flora and in Inglewood. We drew 740 cars through our charity clothing drop-off day, and we collected nearly 20,000 kilos for charity. Our very own Scarborough Beach pool was selected by Olympian Brianna Throssell as her happy place and featured in Welga's campaign to highlight local government's role in her community. In May, we were proud that long-term City employee Keith Rickman was named Waste Champion of 2021. We also celebrated the City's 500 plus volunteers during National Volunteers Week, and Council endorsed the Sustainability Energy Action Plan, aiming to achieve net zero emissions by 2050 and 100% renewables by 2030. Also in May, Council endorsed our third Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan, July 2021 to June 2023. We are fully committed to reconciliation as well as the ongoing job of creating a vibrant, inclusive, multicultural and diverse local community where everyone is welcome. Our highly regarded $6.2 million Binner Parkland, with $2.5 million from Lottery West, continued to please with an award from the Parks and Leisure Australia for the Park of the Year. It has since won 2 more awards. And in the final month of the reporting period, Scarborough Beach Pool won a Gold Waterwise Award and Council endorsed a new Access and Inclusion Plan through to 2025. I'd like to thank my fellow councillors, the City's executive team and employees for their ongoing support to deliver excellence and help the City to be a leader in local government. We are very grateful to all the residents, the businesses and the community groups and stakeholders we've worked with to achieve these feats together. The annual report shines a light on how our organisation is performing by reporting back to you, our community. For the past 6 years, it has received a Gold Award from the Australasian Reporting Awards for its excellence. I would like to commend this report as a product of our transparent approach to governance and give our assurance that the City will continue to maintain a high standard of reporting and we will approach the challenges ahead with integrity. I will now hand you back to the Acting Chief Executive Officer, Mr Littleton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and what a fabulous list of achievements from the City. I would now like to hand over to Miss Ingrid Hawkins, who's our financial wizard and Director of Corporate Services, to provide a short presentation on the City's annual financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2021.
Thank you, Mr Littleton. And good evening, everybody. Lovely to see you all. So the 2021 financial year was an unusual one and a challenging one as Council focused on its $43.7 million recovery and stimulus package in response to COVID-19. And certainly you've heard of a number of initiatives that the Mayor has mentioned in his report. This saw the City freeze rates, accelerate capital programmes and provide targeted support for local businesses, artists, sporting clubs and those most vulnerable in our community. With regards to 2021, 54% of the City's revenue was generated from general rates, reduced from 58% in the previous financial year due to that rates freeze. The remainder of the City's revenue was generated through waste charges, grants and general fees, topped up with $12 million from our reserves. A total of $30 million was budgeted from the reserves, some of which related to multi-year capital projects, so we'll see that transferring through in the future years. The following slides just provide a bit of an update on services and projects that were delivered in 2021 under each of our Council's key result areas, and the Mayor's report has really touched on a number of these initiatives and projects. Under Thriving Communities, we saw nearly $700,000 in grants distributed to community and sporting groups, and as a City we really had to focus on alternative service provision as facilities were closed or capacity reduced due to COVID-19. Under Vibrant Economy, we saw over $1 million in grants distributed to arts and events and to local small businesses. And this small business spend generated $2.38 in local business spend for every dollar granted by the City. We also saw support to local businesses to help stimulate the economy and assist the sector to recover from the impacts of COVID-19. Under Livable Neighbourhoods, we saw an acceleration of large capital projects with a focus on those providing the greatest employment opportunities. This was balanced with over 400 projects with under $500,000 in value, which was to provide an opportunity to smaller businesses with regards to work with the City. Under sustainability, we saw a focus on sustainability into the future, particularly to ensure that the City meets emission reduction targets. And as the Mayor mentioned, we also launched the Container Deposit Scheme, where we can all get 10 cents back in our containers. Under governance and leadership, we saw proactive lobbying in advance of the 2021 state government elections, resulting in more than $11 million in election commitments. We also saw the further development of the City systems to improve and enhance customer experience, including growth in all our digital channels. And we saw the development of the City's COVID-19 Community Recovery Action Plan, which we continue to update as things change. With regards to COVID-19, I just wanted to touch on some of the things that was done in that space. So as I noted, Council adopted a $43.7 million economic stimulus and community recovery package, which is really the backbone of the budget in 2021. The package was developed to stimulate the local economy, support local businesses, and provide financial assistance to ratepayers and community groups. It also focused on providing more job opportunities through spend and labour-focused projects. Now, 90% of the operating elements of that package were spent by the 30th of June 2021, with several capital projects carried forward into 21-22. The reason for that is really twofold. Some were multi-year projects and we knew they'd be carried forward, and the delivery of others have been impacted by the market conditions, which we saw increased demand through other stimulus measures being released, and also through a lack of labour and building materials. Council is committed to continuing to minimise the impact of COVID-19 and will consider this as it plans the 22-23 plans and budget. And finally, I just wanted to touch on rates. The basic premise for 2021 was that no ratepayer would see an increase on their rates, and this was achieved through the introduction of both differential rates and also a COVID-19 concession. The domestic waste charge was reduced by $15 and all interest and arrangement fees were removed. And continuing in this vein, Council wanted to ensure that any rate increase was minimised in 21-22, and the average increase was 0.9% over 2 years, so from the 29-20 financial year, which again was one of the lowest in the local government sector. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much, Ms Hawkins. Renuka Venkataraman from the Office of the Auditor General will now brief the meeting on the Independent Auditor's Report opinion for the year ending 30th of June 2021. Thanks, Renuka.
Good evening, everyone. The financial audit for the year ended 30th June 2021 was conducted by Ernst & Young on behalf of the Office of the Auditor General. We confirm that we've reviewed the contract audit firm's work, and the audit has been conducted in accordance with Australian auditing standards. An unmodified audit opinion has been issued to the City of Stirling for the 2021 financial year, and I will now read out an extract of the audit report which confirms this. The annual financial report of the City of Stirling is based on proper accounts and records and fairly represents in all material respects the results of the operations of the city for the year ended 30th June 2021 and its financial position at the end of that period in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and to the extent that they are not inconsistent with the Act, the Australian accounting standards. The opinion also includes an emphasis of matter paragraph that refers the reader to note 26 of the financial report, which discloses the following matters. Firstly, the 2020 financial impact of the initial application of accounting standard AASB 1059 from the associate entity. And secondly, a guarantee payment made by the city subsequent to reporting date. The audit opinion is not modified in respect of these matters. The audit opinion also includes a report on other legal and regulatory requirements. This year, in accordance with Local Government Audit Regulations 1996, we have reported significant adverse trends to the following ratios, which were reported in note 23 of the annual financial report. First, the asset sustainability ratio, as it has been below the Department of Local Government, Sports and Cultural Industry standard for the past 3 years. And secondly, the operating surplus ratio, as it has progressively declined over the past 3 years. And for the past 2 years, it has been below the Department of Local Government, Sports and Cultural Industries standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Hawkins and Ms Venkataraman. Look, I'd like to start by acknowledging the exceptional work of the City of Stirling team, and I want to congratulate them on a hugely successful 2021 financial year. Our success, or the City's success, is very much due to their dedication, their professionalism and hard work. And again, I think they've done an exceptional job for our city. I'll now present a DVD highlighting the City's achievements over the past year, full details of which are contained within the City of Stirling's 2020-2021 annual report, and I commend it to you.
City of Stirling karit nyunga mur nyunga bujak wajah bujak ngalak karit nyunga neringa we bridia kura we yay balaban kundam maling we nakalak balap yang ngalak dan ju ba we karit barang bujak.
In 2020-21, the City of Stirling celebrated its 50-year anniversary, a significant milestone that was acknowledged with special events, a commemorative pin, and the city's community calendar, featuring photographs and stories across 5 decades. Migrants played an important part in the city's history, and with more than 40% of our residents born overseas, we are a thriving multicultural hub that covers approximately 100 square kilometres. The City of Stirling is WA's largest local government by population and is home to more than 223,000 people. Stretching across 30 suburbs, our varied landscape encompasses 7 kilometres of stunning coastline and an abundance of natural bushland. In 2020-21, the city continued to focus on the 5 key result areas set out in its Strategic Community Plan 2018 to 2028 and its supporting Corporate Business Plan, which together chart the path forward to reach our goals. The city continued to invest in services and projects to help our communities thrive and our neighbourhoods to grow sustainably, with future generations in mind. We are proud to share some of this financial year's accomplishments with you. The City of Stirling has a proud history of working closely with our community to build connectedness and a sense of belonging. The diverse range of people that make up our community are supported through the city's social plans, which respond to the evolving needs of our community. In May 2021, the Council endorsed its 3rd Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan. The city is committed to providing opportunities for recognition and celebration of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's contribution to our community. Amongst a range of initiatives, the city adopted the Noongar name Bina Parkland for its new community park in Belga. The park was developed with a community-driven approach, including consulting with Aboriginal elders from the Whadjuk Northside Elders Group. Bina Parkland has already become the centrepiece of the community, highlighted at the Community Fun Day celebration held in April 2021. Nala Jukin Healing Centre opened in December 2020 and delivers an integrated specialist service that supports women, children and families at risk of or experiencing family and domestic violence. The city endorsed its first homelessness strategy in August 2020. The strategy aims to create an understanding of the impacts of homelessness within the city and assist employees to support the homeless in our community. The city also provided our community with essential services such as Meals on Wheels throughout the year, which saw an increase of 40% during peak COVID restrictions. During 2020-21, the city honoured its commitment to build thriving communities by distributing 81 grants to 70 community groups to deliver programs that support wellbeing and connectedness. In addition, $425,000 in grants were provided to over 70 sporting groups through the city's Community Grants for Sporting Clubs program. The city's amazing beaches provide wellbeing for many in the community, and our beach services were busy throughout the warmer months, conducting preventative actions, rescues, first aid assistance and resuscitations to save lives on our beaches. With approximately 80,000 jobs across more than 22,000 businesses and a gross regional product over $17 billion, the city continued to support economic growth and create vibrant entertainment precincts to attract visitors. The city delivered on its $43.7 million economic stimulus and recovery package by freezing rates, offering tenancy relief for businesses that lease city land or property, sponsoring events, and assisting community groups. Across the year, the city ramped up its support to small businesses by encouraging local spending. The city distributed $250,000 to help 51 small businesses, generating a fantastic outcome across the sector. The city also established a small business hotline to provide business counselling and networking support. As we stayed closer to home during the year, the city's neighbourhood event series was a triumph, delivering 12 community events that attracted more than 10,000 people and helped to promote local businesses. During the year, 57 recipients received a share of $800,000 as part of the city's Community Arts and Events Fund and Community Creativity. residents investing in homes and businesses were provided with a new service in 2020-21 through the city's innovative Address and Application Assistant, which reduces red tape and helps homeowners and developers discover the approvals they need for development. Launched in September 2020, more than 30,000 people have visited the webpage during the year. Creating livable neighbourhoods and accessible places for our residents takes careful planning and a focus on long-term sustainability. Investing in new infrastructure to meet community needs for the future is a critical part of the city's strategic plan, and the city accelerated its efforts with $55.2 million in capital investment. Construction works continued on the Stevenson Avenue Extension project, which forms part of the city's broader plan to transform the Stirling city centre into a strategic metropolitan hub. The project will ultimately extend Stevenson Avenue from Scarborough Beach Road to Cedric Street, creating a vibrant urban hub in the heart of Stirling. The city also committed to a number of projects during the year, including the refurbishment of the Stirling Leisure Centre's Terry Tyzack Aquatic Centre Inglewood, with Stage 1 to revitalise the indoor pool. Redevelopment of the Hammersley Public Golf Course's golf pavilion and driving range began this year with the engagement of architects to prepare the detailed design. And work began on the upgrade to floodlighting at Corrine Regional Open Space Soccer Fields. With an eye to the future, the city also continued its mission to develop a trackless tram system to connect the Stirling city centre with the iconic Scarborough Beach. In November 2020, the federal government allocated $2 million to start this important work and develop a trackless tram business case. The City of Stirling is committed to building a sustainable future for our community, protecting and improving the environment by using natural resources wisely, and reducing the impact of our activities on the environment. In 2020-21, Council endorsed the city's first Sustainable Energy Action Plan, Corporate 2020 to 2030. The plan sets a corporate target for the city to source 100% of total electricity demand from renewable energy and to reduce corporate carbon emissions by 70% by 2030. It's consistent with the city's goal to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Our community was very satisfied with the city's waste management and recycling services in 2020-21 with a 93% satisfaction rating. Over 44,500 tonnes of waste was collected from the red lid general waste bins, with 21% diverted from landfill. And from the more than 19,500 tonnes of waste collected from the yellow lid bins, 78% was diverted from landfill, with 100% of the 18,436 tonnes of waste collected in green lid bins being reused. To encourage even more recycling in the community, the city launched its new Container Deposit Scheme service in October 2020, with 2 refund points at key locations in the city. As part of creating a sustainable future, the city actively encourages and supports everyone to get involved in a variety of sustainability activities. Through Waterwise Verge rebates to energy workshops and programs, the city worked with our community to improve the overall energy and water use. Over 450 volunteers, students and residents came together to plant trees across the city, and our Living Green Schools program helped to make our schools greener. The city stepped up its own effort to make Stirling greener as part of its Million Trees initiative. In the 2020-21 planting season, the city planted over 9,000 trees and more than 58,000 shrubs, keeping the city on track to meet its target to plant 1 million trees and shrubs by 2025. The city understands that earning and maintaining community trust is essential for good governance and leadership. In 2020-21, the city conducted 19 council meetings and 18 committee meetings, with all agendas and minutes available online. The city also improved access to these meetings this year with the introduction of live stream council meetings, acknowledging that transparency and accountability is paramount to our community. The city naturalised more than 2,100 new Australians over 26 citizenship ceremonies. The city actively engages with state and federal government to lobby for our priorities. The City of Stirling will soon benefit from $62.5 million worth of transport infrastructure projects announced in the 2020 federal government budget. A further $11 million was committed in the lead up to the state government election for upgrades to Grindleford and Rickman Delaunay reserves, redevelopment of Inglewood Oval Hamer Park and the Mettams Pool Erosion Recovery Project. To improve our customer service, the City adopted a new customer engagement strategy in 2020-21. This will shape how we engage with our customers, ratepayers, residents, businesses and the wider community, as well as visitors to the City of Stirling. The City of Stirling is widely recognised across Australia and beyond as a high-performing, progressive, stable local government leader. We are extremely proud of our 2021 overall customer satisfaction rating of 91%, one of the highest levels of customer satisfaction in the Western Australian local government sector. Committed to progress, we are forging ahead to create a bright future for everyone living, working or visiting the City of Stirling. Our strong, positive working relationships with the state and federal government, together with our solid financial position, will allow us to deliver a pipeline of projects creating significant and ongoing benefits for our residents and visitors. This is an exciting time and the future is full of opportunity for the City of Stirling. Looking forward, we will continue to build on our strengths and meet our challenges head-on to ensure we deliver efficient, responsive and sustainable services for our community and reinforce our position as the City of Stirling, the City of Choice.
Look, that, yeah. That is a fantastic year of success and continues to demonstrate why Stirling is a leader in our sector. Again, I commend the work that the City, the Council, continues to do throughout the 2021 financial year and beyond. I'll now hand you over to Mr. Mayor, Head of Public Question Time.
Thanks very much, Michael. I know we've got a lot of people here who have been to these meetings before, but some who may not have. Just for clarity, there's a couple of parts to tonight's meeting. Obviously, the first part, as we've seen, is about presenting the annual report. So what I'm going to ask now is if there's any questions relating to the actual annual report. So if you've got a question relating to the financial statements or the annual report, now's the time to ask those. There is time after this, so we'll go through the moving and seconding of the annual report. After that, we'll go to general business, and that's when you can ask any general questions or move your own motions. So I will now open up. I haven't received any, but if there are any questions from the floor relating to these documents. Mr. Brown, if we start with you. Welcome along. If I can just get you to turn your microphone on. And name and suburb and away.
David Brown, 6/9 Wynyard Street, Yukon. Can I take my mask off?
Yes, you may. And when you come forward, everyone, if you take your mask off, it just makes it a bit clearer.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A very interesting report and...
Sorry, can you take it? Yeah, right. That's better.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Very interesting report and thanks for the staff who put it all together. My first question is related to the Auditor's report. In the report, it notes on page 49 that the Council is in a solid financial position. But in the Auditor's report, and it's been mentioned by the Audit representative tonight, that we don't meet two particular standards, which are on page 3 of 3, I think it is, no, 2 of 3 of the Auditor's report in relation to sustainability and operating surplus. Can someone advise me what is the department's industry standard for both of those? Because it's not much use saying that we aren't meeting the standard if we don't know what the standard is.
Sure, and we'll give you an explanation for the reasons for both of those as well. Ms Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Good to see you.
Thank you.
The asset sustainability ratio, the standard for that is greater than 0.9. So you'll see in our this year we have 0.63 or 0.6254. Yep. With regards to operating surplus ratio, the standard is between 0.01 and 0.15. And you'll see with that one we're actually minus 0.6. One, I guess, key for probably both of them, but key, the sustainability ratio, the council made a decision not to fund as much renewal as we normally would when we looked at the COVID-19 package and stimulus package, and that's a reason why that ratio is lower. But we have seen an increase in that ratio for 21-22, so I'm happy to report that. With regards to the operating surplus ratio, again, that's about the ability to cover our operational costs with the money that we have available. What we have done is, with the economic stimulus package, we pulled down from our reserves. So we reduced our operating revenue, for example, our rates revenue with having a freeze, and council made a determination to pull more money from reserves than we originally planned for our long-term financial plan. So that's a reason for that ratio to not be as good as it was.
I've got no problem with what you've decided to do, because I think it was important that we did take some from reserves, and we're one of the few councils that are totally without any debt around the metropolitan area. So I think that's still worth congratulations to the council. Sadly, in the news today, a young child lost their life in a swimming pool in the city of Melbourne. And I noticed in the report on page 122 that 48 inspections were not carried out in the year end of the 2021 financial year, and that there were some people who refused to receive an inspection. What action is the council taking in relation to those people who refuse to have inspectors check their pools, and whether or not the council can take legal action against them in relation to their refusal, and also what has happened in relation to the other inspections that weren't carried out?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Brown. Is it Ms. Hughes?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and to answer your question, Mr. Brown, the swimming pools team suffered quite a significant staffing loss during that period. It is on their list to pick up, so they are making a recovery on all those inspections now. In terms of the inspections where officers weren't able to attend those properties, officers still try and pursue that. It was largely due to COVID at the time and the concern that the community had around that. So officers are still pursuing those inspections.
But are we getting any success? Because it's now 9 months, isn't it? Yeah, 9 months since the end of the financial year. Are there any of those people who's refused to see you then still refusing to see you?
Thank you, Ms. Hughes.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd have to get back to you on the actual numbers, but I can get that information for you.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. The third question in relation to page 58 on performance reviews. I've asked this similar question before. I notice where you indicate that 90% of your staff have undertaken a performance review in the previous financial year, and I appreciate that some of them may not have been at work and accessible. But you also state that you've got an FTE of 1,074.3 FTE. How many actual staff has the council, did the council employ at the 30th of June 2021, so that there's some comparisonship between the 90% and your FTE? Because I don't think the 90% relates to the FTE. I think it relates to each human being that the council employs.
Ms. Hawkins?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes, you're correct. With the 90%, it would be on the number of people, because every person, other than our casual employees, are required to have a performance review. With regards to the number that we have at the end of the year, we have around 1,400 employees in total, in terms of headcount rather than FTE. So it would be, the 90% would be against that, less the casual number. So I'll need to confirm to you the exact number so I can look at the casuals.
If you wouldn't mind, because that's quite a significant difference of some 300. But I think it's also great to note that the council has 16% of ethnic employees with their backgrounds, which I think is very, very important in this multicultural day. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. That's right. And I think Mr. Collins had his hand up just behind you. If you just flick that back on for us, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, staff, councillors and ratepayers, electors. My first question is to the independent auditor, as report. you mentioned on 2 occasions that the report that you made was unmodified. Did you receive any requests for modification?
Thank you. Ms
And if
Hawkins?
so, what was the nature of those requests?
Hello,
It's happy
thank you
for you to answer.
question.
Yep.
When I say an unmodified opinion, it just means it's a clear opinion. There were no issues with the in the audit annual financial report.
So just
there
clarify your question, Mr Collins. Maybe just clarify what it was.
My question is that you made a point, for example, that your opinion on making the notation of the payment to the MRC, Mindarie Regional Council, of
Oh, yeah.
28 million, you made the point that that opinion was unmodified.
Yes.
So my question to you is, was there a request from the City of Stirling to modify that opinion before issuing your final report?
No, there was no request from the City of Stirling to modify. So under the auditing standards, an emphasis of matter is included in the audit opinion, just to draw the attention of the reader to anything unusual that's happened during the financial year. So it's just to draw the attention of the user to those 2 matters. It doesn't have any impact on our audit opinion on the annual financial report.
So what do you mean when you say, I understand what you mean when you say you have an opinion. What do you mean when you say you have an unmodified opinion?
So, Mr Collins, it's the same as a clear opinion, so
Clear
unqualified opinion.
It just means it's a clear opinion.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And, Mr Mayor, looking at my small phone screen this morning,
That's all right.
it'd be good if we could bring our iPads and have a Wi-Fi connection for the ratepayers. It might be anyway.
I think you can.
Can we? Okay. All right.
But it's too late now.
Too late now. I refer to the financial statements, and I refer to page 100. Oh goodness me, 218, I think it is, of the financial statements, and it's in regard to leave liability. And this has been a concern of mine for some time. To give you an example, the staff's annual leave liability, this is the annual leave, went from 7 million, or 6.959 million, to 9.2 million. So it went up 2.24 million in annual leave, yet the city only used, so it accrued 2.24 million in annual leave, and it's only using 972,000. Why is there such a discrepancy, and why is our annual leave liability on ratepayers increasing at such a dramatic rate of nearly 20% per year?
And thanks for that question, Mr Collins. I can assure you that Council has indicated their concern with that too, and has been brought up several times at audit. But I'll get Ms Hawkins. A lot of it is to do with the COVID, the fact that COVID, people wouldn't take their leave. But Ms Hawkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Mr Collins. Yes, we did. We have seen an increase in leave liability at the time of this audit, and it is actually something that the auditors have raised with us as they've gone through the audit. And as the Mayor says, the Audit Committee and Council are also focused on that. But I am happy to say that we've a concerted effort to reduce that. As the Mayor said, people were very reluctant to take leave during the COVID period, which is really why we've seen a large increase. But we have seen a reduction of over 10% in that recently. So the February figures, for example, is about 18.3 million for both annual leave and long service leave, February 2022. So we have seen, particularly in annual leave, around a 600,000 reduction on that.
Okay, but you would be accruing over those 9 months. Is that after accrual, the 600,000 reduction, Mr Mayor, through you?
Yep, Ms Hawkins.
Through the Mayor, yes, that's correct. So that's we've had accrued, but we've had a $600,000 on the total, and it is something that we continue to focus on with the Audit Committee and report regularly up through the executive team. So certainly, Mr Collins, something we're very focused on.
And the other interesting aspect is that your long service leave is accruing at a very similar rate to your annual service leave, which is quite an unusual anomaly for a large organisation of 1,000 employees. For instance, in the annual report on that page, it says that your annual leave liability accrued at 2.2 million and your long service leave liability accrued at 2.2 million. Could you explain why that's the case?
Yes, Ms Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In terms of the liability, there isn't correlation between annual leave and long service leave. With regards to the long service leave, that becomes due after that 10-year period. What we have seen though is probably long service leave, we haven't seen the same reduction because you're right, we've seen accruals coming through. We've seen people take their leave, but we've also seen additional accruals coming through. But there's not a direct correlation between the two.
So in relation to the long service leave, the accrual there at 2.2 million for this year, or the previous year, is that only taking into account employees who have been employed full-time or part-time in the city longer than 7 years? Is that correct?
Ms Hawkins.
Through the Mayor. Yes, Mr Collins, so at 7 years we start to accrue that long service leave, yes.
Right. So the city would have given that annual leave is accruing at the same rate of long service leave, yet long service leave is only counted for employees who have been here longer than 7 years. What percentage of your full-time employees have been here longer than 7 years?
Ms Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's a good question, Mr Collins. I will need to come back to you in writing on that one.
Okay. And the city has a reserve fund for its annual leave, and we notice that we've now well exceeded that reserve fund. So our federal government is fully covered now with its reserve fund because of the future fund for its annual leave liability. In fact, it's more than well covered. What strategy is the City of Stirling doing to address, for instance, the staff reserve at the moment is 13.2 million, but your liability is more than 20 million. So what is the City of Stirling doing as an organisation to address that extraordinarily large gap?
Thank you. Ms Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With regards to the reserve, so in terms of the reserve that we have for our liability, that covers the long service leave liability that we're talking about, so there's adequate provision in there to cover that leave. I'm not sure if I'm covering your question, Mr Collins.
Okay, so the staff liability reserve is not for the annual leave, it's only for the long service leave. Okay. Is that what you're saying? Is that the answer, Mr
Let's
Mayor?
just get clarification. Ms Hawkins.
So, yes, so the leave liability that sits in the reserve is for both our annual and our long service leave in terms of the longer, I guess the non-current leave, or that element of it. So there is certainly we have adequate provision in our reserve to cover our leave liability, and we adjust that every month based on the figures that come through from our payroll system and that leave accrual.
Mr Mayor, I was wondering if the Finance Director could please look at page 219, because the figure that I see for the staff liability reserves is listed on that page, and I see that there's only like 14,700,000 plus 13 million. But if we go to the previous page, the total at the end of 30th of June, the total leave liability, annual and long service for the city is 20.2 million. So there seems to be a $6 million gap.
Ms Hawkins, are you following?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Mr Collins. Yeah, apologies, I wasn't following your question. Yeah, no, and I can certainly provide you probably more detail in writing. It might be useful, but in terms of I guess it's in terms of the timing of that leave and the length of the leave. But yeah, let me provide some more information in writing.
Would you acknowledge that the city's leave liability reserve does not meet its leave liability?
Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, the Mayor. With regards to the reserve, I believe there's adequate provision in the reserve for the liability, but let me provide more
Okay, if
detail.
I could have detail on that, Mr Mayor.
Happy
that
to
would
send
be
it through, Mr
much
Collins.
appreciated. And my final question is, what strategies are in place that, taken by, you've mentioned the Audit Committee is aware of it, the Finance Director is aware of it. What strategies are in place to reduce the annual leave and the long service leave liability?
Sure. Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With regards to Mr Collins, we do have provisions written into our workforce agreements. So where an employee has 8 weeks or more of annual leave, then we can require them to take leave. Similarly with long service leave, where there's a requirement to take that after 6 months that it's become due. So we have in our workforce agreement, and we also have within the local government long service legislation, so there are provisions there. We do provide reports monthly to each of the people leaders to help them manage that, and reports quarterly up to the executive team, and also we report up to the audit committee. But certainly there's provisions to enable us to do that.
Thank you. And the Audit Committee meets how often, Mr Mayor?
Quarterly.
Quarterly, and it receives the leave liability reports.
Yes, Mr Collins.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's all on the financial report.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to ask any questions? No, if not, we will go to the acceptance of the annual report, incorporating the financial statements for the year ended 30th of June. Oh, sorry, is there some, yes? Relating to the annual report? So these are just questions relating to the annual report. There'll be, the other stuff will come after. Yep. Okay. So each elector who is present tonight is entitled to vote on any matter to be cited at the meeting, but you don't have to vote this evening. So, this is the same as we go through to the general business. You'll see someone move a motion and second a motion. If you wish to put your hand up to vote for it or against it, you may. If you wish to abstain from that vote, you may as well. It's up to you. The City has prepared a draft motion to accept the annual report and financial statements as follows. That the annual report for the City of Stirling for the year 2020-2021, incorporating the 2020-2021 annual financial statements and the 2020-2021 Auditor's report, be accepted. If I could now ask, please, firstly, for a mover for this motion. Councillor David Lagan has moved the motion. Is there a seconder? I think we've got Mr Brown would like to second back there. Thank you. In that case, I will put that motion. If I could ask for a show of hands, all those in favour, please. Oh, yellow cards. Forgot you had yellow cards. Just a clear show of hands. That's it. Thank you. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. That was an excellent practice for this next session. So we now move to general business. And I declare the meeting open for general business. Should an elector choose to move a motion, a seconder is required. We'll ask for that after you've moved your motion. Please clearly state your full name into the microphone when you come forward, as you've just seen previously. So we just need your name and suburb, and then you can just state to me whether you'd like to ask a question of the meeting. As you've just seen, we'll endeavour to answer questions, especially those who have provided those previous. If we can't respond, we will make sure that we respond in writing to you. If you'd like to move a motion, just indicate you'd like to put your motion, and then you may read out your motion. We'll ask for a seconder, and then we will vote on it. Any motions from tonight's meeting will be included in the agenda for consideration at the council meeting to be held on Tuesday, the 10th of May 2022. Additionally, a councillor may choose to raise a notice of motion or otherwise act on the motion raised by the elector. What I will do now is move to the first one, and I'll call out those names. Don't panic if I don't read your name out. We'll ask if we've missed any at the end. So I have got John Meekins. I'm not sure if Mr Meekins is here this evening. He provided a question. No? Hessel de Jong? Yes, if you'd like to come forward, sir. That's it. And the microphone's already on, so if you just start with your name and suburb, and then you may...
I'm Hessel de Jong, and I reside in Karrinyup, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity, Mr Mayor, councillors and electors. I had a question, but due to me rediscovering the benefits of search in a PDF document, I found half the answers already. and it relates to underground power program. I would like to see council make mention of the underground power program. I know it's not as appealing as some of the other things. It's a bit like the sewerage program, but they're vitally important.
Yes.
So I will reserve the rest of the question, and I don't need a response now at all because I would like to move a motion which relates to the same matter.
Yes, you may, sir.
Okay, can I read my motion out?
Yes, you may. Yep.
I did provide a hard copy to one of your officers, so you should have the words. That Stirling, as one of the largest councils in WA, seek and undertake urgent discussions with the Local Government Association, Western Power, and the state government on its massive failure to implement a cost-effective and efficient execution of the 1996 15-year underground power program. In particular, focus on the following. Unacceptable high cost to ratepayers, and for those of you who are not aware, all the ratepayers via council contribute to any underground power program. Currently going around $10,000 per residence. The unacceptable high additional cost to the recipient ratepayers. I'd like the council to consider the discarding of the cost-plus mentality of Western Power without due regard to some of the following. Synergy with its pole replacement program based on sites with, say, 3 pole replacements in the required 10-pole stretch within the next 3 to 5 years should get a cost reduction of at least 30%, well, roughly $3,000. No discount of its upgrade of an LV, low voltage, although the name may not mean what you think it means, it's up to 1,000 volts. Reference the AS3000 standard if you want to find the full details. The aerial infrastructure replacement of new plant. So we don't get a discount for that. We would in a normal cost of function. Decrease the compensation, they will again get the benefit of a decrease in compensation payments by reduced power outages largely due to the failure of aerial plant, often happening during our storms, which we're heading into that season. Redesign of the underground power distribution using nodal joints and directional teed pipe instead of the additional pits and joints, which add a large proportion of the current cost they're charging. An improvement in public safety with less opportunity to use, I'm sorry, my typing has missed a part here, but there's less opportunity for fallen power lines, it should read. Use contractor underground fuss boring techniques to install this pipe rather than Western Power. And I've had some experience with Western Power techniques. As a sideline, not part of the question. I managed when I was in the railways to get a $500,000.
Sorry, sir. I might just get you to make sure, just because you're going to need a seconder, so just stay with the motion first. You're welcome to say something afterwards.
Smaller installation teams, less traffic disruption and traffic management requirements. Remove the aerial lighting and street signs and replace them with council-implemented off-grid LED street lights and signs. Request the state government to return to the initial $160 million per annum instead of the low nominal amounts, about $50 million, currently provided to the sub-program. And I move this motion. I'm looking for a seconder.
Thank you. And I will ask for a second. If you'd like to second it, if you could please just put your hand, and when I point to you, if you stand up and just say your name out nice and loud so we can record it, please. Is there a seconder for that motion out there? Yes, please. Yep. Deirdre Allen, a seconder. Thank you. And I will now put that motion. All those in favour, please. You just raise your hand.
Obviously.
That's it. Yep. And against. And that motion is carried. Thank you for that motion.
Thank you.
It's a good motion. I look forward to going back to the Minister's office. Last time he threw me out when I asked that question, but I will go back, I promise.
I'm happy to accompany you. I have some experience in underground power.
I would like that, sir. I wouldn't mind some backup. I have Charlotte Kelly. Is Charlotte Kelly here? Yes, if you'd like to come forward. Thank you. And just your name and suburb, and then either questions or motions.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Charlotte Kelly. I reside in Innaloo, and I'm happy to be on Whadjuk Noongar country this evening. I Had a question regarding the homelessness situation within the City of Stirling. I can see online that you've got a strategy which outlines some, very pertinent points, some very good focus points. But what I wanted to ask, and I did submit this online, albeit slightly wordier, but I'll keep this brief. What I wanted to ask is, when can we expect to see a more comprehensive report of the actual policies and activities that the city will be undertaking?
Thank you. Mr Quirk?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the question. When the homelessness strategy was adopted by Council in July 2020, an implementation plan was actually adopted at the same time. So if you do refer to those council minutes, you will see that it has 11 actions and 32 activities within that implementation plan. And indeed, in August 2021, the city did report progress against those actions within the implementation plan.
Excellent. I'll go hunting and look those ones up. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Daniela Iron? Just your name and suburb, and then...
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniela Iron, and I am from Nulamara. I want to move a motion tonight. I will present very short what I want to say about this motion. It's about the heritage. Heritage is what we inherit from previous generation and recognize as something that we want to pass on the future generations. Heritage plays an important role in understanding where we have come from, the way we live, and the traditions we hold dear. Heritage is a valuable resource, but once lost, it is gone forever. Heritage plays an integral part of the urban environment and help create value and local distinctiveness. City of Stirling has 3 heritage protected suburbs. It is important to have a heritage services advisory group to review, recommend, and raise public awareness, appreciation, and understanding of the city's heritage through education and promotion. And I want to ask, so why would local councillors and the City of Stirling staff not support our history and our culture to be preserved and retained? Was there an omission with processes and procedure of the report to council that did not show the benefit and the need to have a heritage advisory group, especially where priority has been given to developers over history and common sense? In conclusion, I would like to ask the City of Stirling to reinstate the Heritage Advisory Group. Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion is to reinstate the History and Heritage Advisory Group. Is there a second for that motion? Mr. Paul Collins has seconded that. I will put that motion. If you'd like to vote in favour of that motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. If you'd like to vote against it, raise your hand. That motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deirdre Allen.
Mayor, councillors, electors.
Welcome. And just your name and suburb to start for the record.
Deirdre Allen of Calpinia, and I'd like to put a motion before the electors.
Yes.
And I have my seconder here, Anastasius Sorted.
Yep, we'll get him up in a sec.
Yep. That the City of Stirling not proceed with the proposed footpath on Carnarvon Crescent until after review of the...
Sorry, I just need you to face this way into the microphone. Thanks.
That the City of Stirling not proceed with the proposed footpath on Carnarvon Crescent until after review of the city's policy on footpath installation. That the City of Stirling review its policy for footpath installation with a view to greatly improving the consultation for affected residents, taking into account the city's heritage areas and suburbs designed under the Ebenezer Howard Garden suburb movement, limit impact on vehicle crossovers, address safety and risk assessments for projects, and consider global warming consequences, call cities initiatives relevant to the extensive use of concrete hard surfaces. That the City of Stirling undertake the following for Carnarvon Crescent and the design thereof. Examine limiting the impact on people's vehicle crossovers, street lights and signs, street trees and irrigated verges of the proposals versus use of a route on the opposite uninterrupted council verge. Provide residents with evidence in support of the most cost-effective and safe location for the footpath. Consult all affected residents individually about the proposed route and explain the implication of the works, including the demolition of all existing driveways across a 1.8 metre width, the subsequent loss of parking amenity outside their homes and safety considerations.
Thank you very much, and that motion does have a seconder. So I will now, thank you. Thank you, and we have that on record up here. So I will now put that motion, if you're voting in favour of this motion.
Do I get to speak on the motion?
Yes.
I have read the motion out, but a bit of background.
Yep, would you want me to put it first, or would you like to speak to it before I put it?
I'd like to speak to the
Sure, you're welcome
electors who
to.
are voting,
Yep,
so that
happy to.
they can know a bit of background.
Yeah, apologies.
Electors.
Sorry, I do have to get you to look at them this way.
Electors, I've worked in a government design, construction, landscaping and environmental workplace for the past 30 years in WA and NT, so I have a bit of background in this sort of thing. The motion is in regard to the City of Stirling construction of footpaths, consultation, environmental concerns and keeping, or not, the ratepayers informed. We acknowledge it's really important that appropriate footpaths be provided to improve the safety of pedestrians. That's not in doubt. However, it's reported and recorded in the media that fatalities and injuries occur in crossovers, driveways. If you remember, children are getting run over. And this footpath designed for Calpinia and Carnarvon Crescent cuts 33 driveways on one side of the street, or only 3 if it's constructed in a more appropriate location, it seems to me, on the other side, which has continuous verges, council-maintained parks, and will in future provide a better connection to the future footpaths on interconnecting streets, which as yet don't have footpaths. We are concerned that if in the City of Stirling, if there's an opportunity to improve safety of the crossovers driveways versus a continuous footpath, then provision for this should be included in the footpath policy. They should be delivered at reasonable cost to ratepayers, but without compromising safety. Also, a one-size-fits-all footpath policy for general suburban streets is not appropriate with the winding, curvy streets and parks in the historic Garden City design streetscape of Menora and Calpinia, and the footpaths need to be sensibly designed. The affected residents have only just been formally notified by the council by a letter that the footpath construction is to start. The letter was dated 18th of March. It was received by myself and my neighbours on the 24th of March, saying construction is to start in approximately 2 weeks. Would that be the 8th of April, not before? And also, it gives the person's name that you can contact. But he's the construction manager, not the designer. He's the person that implements what's on the drawings. And you can ring him for information and feedback before and after the project. However, once the concrete sets, there's not a lot of room for manoeuvre. I actually fortunately found out this was happening by seeing our council workers measuring up last October on the verge opposite me. And I asked them what was going on. I informed all the neighbours, organised a meeting, and the neighbours signed a petition that I initiated. And as yet, as far as I know, there has been no formal letters or feedback to these other neighbours from the council. And of course, I have been liaising with the council, so I know a bit more than everybody else. But I'm not a community representative. I've just kept my neighbours informed. I'm not running around doing more of that. I mean, dear ratepayers, this could happen to you. Your average Carnarvon Crescent residents will only become aware of the extent of the footpath policy and what is actually happening when construction starts. I bet they don't know they're going to lose 1.8 metres of their driveways, grass verges that they mow, and driveways they pay for, and in future could be fined if they park in their driveways and the vehicle obstructs the new footpath, this all results in a loss of amenity out the front of these people's houses and a negative effect, I believe, people have said this, on property values. Seems like consultation has been very lacking throughout this. Throughout the City of Stirling's latest annual report, it prides itself on its consultation with ratepayers, and there is a consultation policy. It's not being demonstrated in this case. In fact, unfortunately, if I hadn't seen the workers on the verge, 2 weeks' notice would have been all we've got, and the whole thing appears to be a fait accompli, because there's no time for ratepayers to challenge it. So, electors, please vote for my motion and be aware any day, if you're a ratepayer and you own a property, this could happen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Very compelling. And I will now put that to the vote. All those for, thank you. And yes, and all those against. That motion is carried. Thank you. Paul Collins, did you have any other questions, Mr. Collins? Yep. Oh, sorry, a motion, I think.
I have emailed it to governance, and hopefully they can have it on the screen. Paul Collins of Dianella.
It's just coming up now, and we'll just get you to take your mask off while you say it if you can, just so it comes out clear. Thanks.
Paul Collins of Dianella. So I have a motion in two parts, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
One, that Council acknowledges the inadequacies in the performance, maintenance, cleaning, hygiene and utility of the two freestanding unisex public toilet modules located adjacent to the Oakine Reserve Playground.
Thank you.
Two, that Council budget to replace the existing toilets with a purpose-built facility comparable in standard to that provided at Charles Riley Memorial Reserve in North Beach to address cross-contamination from a toilet for users requiring basic hand washing, wash basin use, i.e. contact lens replacement or cup washing, changing clothes or changing nappies, shelter from rain and heat when waiting for use of the toilet, the separate needs of male and females, and high demand for the multifunctional public open space. So moved.
Thank you. And I see that you've got Mr. David Brown has seconded. Was that what I read? Yes, it's on the sheet already. Would you like to
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
speak to it, or are you happy for me to put that?
I'm happy to speak to it.
Yes.
The Oakine Reserve is a multifunctional area of wonderful regional open space and a significant asset of the City of Stirling, with extremely high numbers of active, passive and disabled users 7 days a week, from daybreak until sunset and beyond. The removal of external public toilet facilities from Calpinia No. 2 Oval Club rooms during the recent upgrade of that facility for park users, the removal of, in other words, we can no longer use those change rooms as a park user, has resulted in excessive use of the two stainless steel modules adjacent to the universal playground. These toilets have had a history of malfunctions, poor cleaning regimes, a lack of consumables, all of which have been reported over time to the City from multiple sources. The City of Stirling has a wonderful facility there, similar to Charles Riley Reserve in that it's a universal playground. Unlike Charles Riley Reserve, there have been food stalls at the event that started in October last year through to March this year. That event provided no additional toilet facilities. There were queues to the 2 toilet facilities. On days that are wet, there is no shelter for someone waiting to use the toilet. In heat, there is no shade for someone waiting to use the toilet. And there is an issue with basic cross-contamination. I spoke to a lady there who had difficulty with her contact lenses, and she felt disgusting going in there with a very small mirror and changing contact lenses, not at a basin that's separated from the urinals and the toilet, but actually right in the toilet. And we're in 2022, and during public holidays and events, there's jazz shows. It's right next door to a coffee van that is space leased by the City of Stirling. That coffee van is a meeting place where people stay, and these toilets are beyond their use-by date. I do recall that when I was a councillor, that there was a proposal at some stage, I'm not sure if it happened on the plan because the plan wasn't finalised until after I left, for a proper public toilet facility. But the use-by date of these standalone modules has passed, and I urge the electors to support the petition if they're users of Yokine Reserve. To support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Collins. And seconded by Mr Brown. I will now put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. And those against? And that motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marie Georgie, please. And just your name and suburb to start.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, councillors and electors for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'll get you to hold on the one that I've sent through because I've got 2 motions. And the first that I'd like to raise is that the electors of the City of Stirling request the council to support the protection and preservation of the 42 hectares of Banksia woodland threatened ecological community on the Swan Coastal Plain at Lot 802 and 803 Erindale Road, Hammersley, for current and future generations. May I speak to that motion?
Yeah, let's just get you a seconder. Is there a seconder for this motion? Thank you. Mr Simon Wheeler has seconded, and if you'd like to speak to it.
Thank you. I call upon the council to support this important remnant bushland in Hammersley that was previously Crown land reserved for communications until the federal government privatised it in 1998. Since then, the land and the facility has changed hands and is now majority owned by the Canada Pension Fund and operated by BAI Communications, a global company with headquarters in Toronto, who are proposing that 13.55 hectares of the 42 hectare of bushland be cleared and sold for residential housing. The bushland has been recognised for its importance as a Banksia woodland threatened ecological community on the Swan Coastal Plain by both state and Commonwealth environmental laws. It also has tuart trees which under the Commonwealth EPBC Act are critically endangered. The bushland is an important habitat for native animals and is a foraging and breeding habitat for the endangered Carnaby's black cockatoo. It provides a biolink with other remnant Banksia woodlands in the northern suburbs. There are social and health values associated with this bushland area, including opportunities for nature-based education, shade and cooling, cleaning of the air through removal of air pollutants, mental and physical health benefits. Its clearing would result in a significant loss of tree canopy in the surrounding area. Hammersley experienced 5.2% canopy loss last year alone. Councillor Thornton has identified the loss of this bushland as resulting in tree canopy cover in Hammersley dropping to 13.9% from its existing 15.2%. It can take 30 plus years to replace canopy lost when mature trees are removed, as we know from the City of Stirling's urban forest plan. Protection of this bushland would assist in helping the city to work towards its canopy target of 18% rather than to move farther away from it. Inadequate assessment of the values of the bush to the Muro-Noongar people has been carried out by the proponents. The city has a responsibility to ensure that the First Nations people have access to the bushland to enable them to assess its importance as one of the few remaining areas of bush in the area that predates European settlement, with many old trees present and significant other vegetation increasingly rare on the Swan Coastal Plain. I am seeking your support in protecting this remnant important bushland for its environmental, cultural and social values. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I will put that motion. All those in favour? Thank you. And those against? That motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr.
And do you have
Mayor.
another one?
I do have a second motion to raise, and it's that the electors of the City of Stirling Council that the electors of the City of Stirling request the Council to advise that the City make a submission to the Environmental Protection Authority supporting the protection of the Banksia Woodland Threatened Ecological Community at lots 802 and 803 Erindale Road, Hammersley, during the forthcoming EPA public submission period. And if I could please comment on that.
Sure, and we'll just
Thank
get a
you.
seconder for that one. Is there a seconder up the back? If you could say your name again nice and loud. Charlotte Kelly, Inaloo. Thank you.
I am seeking the Council's support when the EPA public comment is open and that the City will make a submission in favour of protection of the Banksia Woodland for the following reasons. These being the continued decline in City of Stirling's tree canopy, in particular Hammersley, as I mentioned, experiencing 5.2 loss last year alone, with the City moving further away from being able to achieve its 18% canopy cover target by 2040. Food and habitat for local native fauna species, particularly the endangered Carnaby's black cockatoo, local amenity for residents, the importance of urban forest, its mitigation of growing urban heat and its role in the City of Stirling's climate change policy. The benefits that these trees provide, such as cooling, shade and removal of air pollutants. I am aware that the City is proactive in its protection for the natural environment and so believe that the protection of this 42 hectares bushland at Erindale Road should be supported by the City of Stirling in being consistent with this. The City should be a major stakeholder in the assessment of the environmental importance of the 42 hectares of bushland at Lot 802 and Lot 803 Erindale Road. To date, to my knowledge, the only environmental assessment of the land proposed to be sold for housing development has been done by the proponent. My view is that the City should undertake a flora and fauna survey to assess the importance of this remnant bushland to the residents of the City of Stirling, and that such a survey should be provided to the EPA either during its assessment or when the opportunity arises under the public comment assessment period. I look forward to the Council's support for this motion. Thank you.
And that motion has a seconder, so I will now put that. If you could raise your hands if you are in support of that motion, please. Thank you. And if you're against, that motion is carried. Thank you. Kerry Hill. You'd like to come forward? And your name and suburb, and then whether you'd like to do questions or a motion.
Kerry Hill of Menora. Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. I wish to put forward a motion.
Sure.
And it reads that no more trees be removed from the Mount Lawley Golf Club, which is an A-class reserve, until such time that the course master plan, brackets draft, and the 15-year tree maintenance plan, brackets draft, has been publicly disclosed and endorsed by the Council.
Thank you. And is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you. And if you can just say your name for me, please.
Carol Cleary, Menora.
Carol Cleary from Menora. Thank you. And would you like to say anything about the motion before I put it?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor. The reason Mount Lawley Golf Club plan to remove, the reason Mount Lawley Golf Club plan to remove 554 trees is to implement a 15-year tree maintenance plan, brackets draft, and a course master plan, brackets draft. Neither has been ratified by councillors or members of the golf club. This land, I say again, is a Class A reserve. Due to the lack of transparency, councillors were unaware of the detail of the above drafts until it was brought to their attention as recently as February 2022. It will take between 30 and 50 years for the existing tree canopy to be replaced. In the last 2 years, trees have been removed purely by City of Stirling officers with delegated authority without the councillor's knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will put that motion now. All those in favour, please. Thank you. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. I will now invite Mr. Bob Mitchell, if you'd like to come forward. Oh, he might have ducked out. I can't. Oh, is he? Oh, he's there. Yep. I'm building the suspense. Name and suburb, Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, council officers and fellow ratepayers. I'm not asking any questions tonight, really. What I'm going to allude to is Scarborough and coming in to what was the elephant in the room, the Stevenson Highway. First of all, Scarborough, as the two coastal councillors know, I sent them a letter and also to the local politicians about the trouble in Scarborough. Now, I've been retired for 12 years, but I worked under the Liquor Act, and some of the things that happened out there then were just shocking. I had one occasion where I wrote to the councillors in relation to 3 police officers being bashed out there. Excuse me. 3 police officers being bashed out there in a licensed place that didn't conform in any manner to the Liquor Act, and the conditions on their licence, which we're there to see, was not adhered to. The conditions were put there to grant the licence by the City of Stirling. I had a call from a detective in Mirrabooka, and he asked me, he said, "Mitch, what's going on?" He said, "We had 3 police officers bashed here last night." And I said, "Well, I was out there a while ago because I didn't actually work in that area. But I got out there and what I saw was disgusting. It was a licence that was to have 1 bar and 10 food facilities. I got out there, nothing. A change had been made. There was 2 bars and 1 food facility. Now, I couldn't do anything. I came to the council one night and as a ratepayer, I just put up my thoughts about it, and I was absolutely castigated. At any rate, I went back to work and I wrote a report out about what I saw there, and then here's 6 months later, I get this call about these people being bashed. And I said to the detective, in there, behind the bar, there should be the licence conditions. Now you go and read them. So he did. And he said, "That's not like here." I said, "Exactly." He said, can I get a copy of that?" I said, "With pleasure. I'll email it to you." And then he said to me, "I'm leaving here and I'm going straight to the council and I'm going to have this place closed." He did that. But what annoyed me about this council was the way they treat ratepayers. Now, that's just an incident. There's a very good friend of mine who was a restaurateur out there. I don't think he's got a place there now. He was asked by some people who had some tourists come out from England, could he arrange to set up his restaurant so that these tourists and friends of theirs could go there. So Nick sets the place up and gets it all right. Lo and behold, as they walk in and sit down, some idiot came along, poured oil over the road, and then they did a burnout. Well, he had to close the restaurant. It was just chock-a-block full of smoke. You know, these are the things that go on there. Then he said to me, an officer from the City of Stirling says, we're sorting out the parking out there. He said, we're going to put 26 motorcycle bays down on the northern side. And he said, oh, thanks very much. He said, so either the coffin cheaters or Hell's Angels can all park there and walk past my restaurant. Now, I hear all these things, and just recently, all the bashings out there, you know, bikies fighting, and with the response, which I wrote to the councillors, I said, first response out there is from the City of Stirling Security. They can't do anything. A previous Member of Parliament, I went out there with Councillor Stewart about problems of people's cars being broken into and things stolen. And I said, look, during the summertime, we should have police officers out here on bikes, you know, ride around, and they're stationed there. You know, they don't come from places like where I had one in my street in Carrinup, from Armadale out to Carrinup, and that's in their shift at 3 o'clock in the morning.
They do station themselves there now, Mr Mitchell.
Eh?
The police do station themselves there now.
Have they got an office for people to go to?
Yes.
They
Yeah,
have.
the front of the club building.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well that's a good thing. I'm glad that's happened. The next thing in Scarborough is, over the years, we've had all this hoo-ha about high-rise and everything like that. But there's that thing there that goes from north to south called West Coast Highway. Well, what a mess. You know, this has been going on for years. You know, they're going to put a flyover, and the latest now is they're going to have a contra-sunken road, you know. So what's happened? There'll probably be another committee set up, and it'll go on for a couple of years and finish up. Nothing will be done. Yet, as I said before, the elephant in the room, which is situated down here, was first enunciated 61 years ago. That's before a lot of people here were born. I'm 81. I remember it when I was 21. And studied about Professor Gordon Stevenson. It's not just that. All around Perth, he put in roads, ring roads. There was a total system. Most of it's been put in, but this obstinate, idiotic business about not taking that from the freeway down to Saviti Street is just ridiculous. It sits there, the Wembley Golf Course, the eastern side course is set aside for the freeway to go through there. Nothing's been done. Town of Cambridge are rubbing their fingers. They don't mind. But look at the inconvenience. You know, we've all been out on West Coast Highway in the morning and the evening. It's not going to get any better. There's nothing planned. And
so I will say that the West Coast Highway Plan will be coming back to Council short. The West Coast Highway Plan is out for consultation by the state government, and I believe next meeting it's coming back to Council, so there will be an item coming with an update on that.
Well, as I said before, it continues.
Now, Mr Mitchell, would you like to put a motion forward regarding Stevenson?
It's not very good.
Would you like to put a motion forward regarding Stevenson?
No, I just said I don't have to put a motion. I'm not asking a question. I'm just telling you what are facts of life. Yeah. And it's not getting any better. It's just not. And I just want to bring it to everybody's attention, you know. And the other thing before I finish is, that one I'll leave till last. But
you have gone over time, Mr. Mitchell, so you're welcome to continue for a little bit longer, but if you could just wrap it up.
Yeah. All right. One thing, just before I finish, I won't do the other one because it'll go too long. This here, a couple of years ago, Mr. Brown raised a question about the glossiness of the paper. Well, that's been removed, but the size has got bigger. I notice it's the 50 years, but I just want to put on record that next year's financial years, I really hope that this thing is in half the width of it is now, without all the flowery rubbish that's in it. Only what's necessary. That's business. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, please. Kieran Kelly. I hope Margot's not watching the live stream.
Kieran Kelly, Scarborough. I won't be taking that much time. I do have a motion, and the motion will the council undertake a study and outcome solutions to overcome the problem of on-road parking and its preventing of free-flowing traffic on suburban roads?
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Is there a seconder for that motion? Simon Wheeler is right behind you there. Would you like to say anything about it? You're happy to put it?
Yeah, look, I'll just say, with the amount of infill housing mushrooming in the suburbs, in particular throughout the coastal ward, and in particular the Scarborough region outside of the Scarborough redevelopment zone, does the council have a strategy to stop the on-road parking in many of these suburban roads? It is not uncommon when driving down these suburban roads that on a each-way road turns into a single lane due to the cars being parked on both sides, a problem that is directly related to the infill policy.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for that, and it has got a seconder, so I will put that motion. All those in favour, please. Thank you. And those against? And that motion is carried. Thank you. Simon Wheeler, if you'd like to come forward. You're okay?
I'd love to come forward, but I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you.
I have lots of questions, but not
Thank you. Roland Hadley. I'm sure you do.
Good evening all. Roland Hadley, Woodlands. Just have a little drop of your perfume if you don't mind. Right, question one. Payments of $97,000 and $159,000 were paid to SMEC Australia and defined as consulting services. Apparently, they refer to the proposed trackless tram project. What do the reports say?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Hadley. SMEC is a global engineering firm. The money isn't ratepayers' money, so it's through the federal money that's been given to the City of Stirling, and it's for the comprehensive business case. The business case has not been received from SMEC yet. We'll be due to receive that in probably about 2 months' time, and we will let you know.
So what we're saying is you've paid the money but got no reports?
They're getting a lot more than that, Mr. Hadley, so I'm sure it's just a part payment.
Okay, thank you. Second question, on the 23rd of December, Deloitte Consulting was paid $741,804. The brief description stated it was business and management consulting services. I know the city is reluctant to provide comprehensive information, but what do the ratepayers get for this trivial amount?
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Ms. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Hadley. With regards to that payment, it's for the configuration and development of the relationship management system for the city. So that's our customer experience, customer request management system.
Thank you. Question 3. I have requested on numerous occasions that the city provide fuller details in the invoice details. And now I ask councillors if they could persuade the administration to tackle this matter on our behalf. and at the same time ascertain why geared construction was paid $795,003 on the 17th of January. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Hadley. And I do know councillors did ask the very same questions at the last audit. I know Councillor Farrelly put that up and requested that. David Brown, if you'd like to come forward, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and Councillor. David Brown of Yokine. I'd first like to start in relation to...
Sorry, can I ask you to remove the mask if you don't
Sorry,
mind?
I forgot all
just
about
makes
that.
It, yeah,
I'm
that's
getting
right.
so used to wearing the thing these days. I'd first like to comment on the issue of the proposed Hector Street bicycle way and the closing off of a number of streets from Main Street right through to Dianella, as far as I'm aware, and the way in which the council is starting to implement this supposed consultation process. I've had a letter back recently from John Offer, who's one of your officers, and copies were sent to a number of councillors who I sent original email to, who cover the local government areas, including the electorates as well as yourself. I don't believe that the council has included all possible people who will be who will have their lives interfered with in relation to this consultation process. I myself received 2 letters about it, one to my post office box and one to my home address. But I do know that business owners who lease premises have not received anything, and I would presume that all Homes West tenants, which would number at least 100 people in Hector Street and Yokine, have not received any advice of this. And I also wonder whether or not you've consulted the sporting clubs who use Reader Reserve, just to name one of the reserves that's going to be affected by this. You say that further information will come out when you receive feedback from the ratepayers who are able to send responses by internet, not by mail, by internet. And without providing them with sufficient information in the first instance, I myself could not provide you with what I would believe was necessary or was going to be disadvantageous to their local area, because all you give is concept designs of what could happen at intersections. I understand that all councillors have been consulted on this, and this was a 2015, I think it was, proposal. And I would not believe that councillors are very happy, would be very happy, to see a whole lot of changes occurring without real consultation with the community. And I think real consultation is getting the community together, which includes everybody in Homes West houses and lessees of buildings in the areas concerned. As far as Hector Street is concerned, it's only going to throw more traffic onto other streets, such as Wynyard Street, which is the one that I live in, and other little streets, because people will work out their 3 to 5 second change around time. In relation to the area concerned also, is that Hector Street carries very, very high Western Power lines. And some of you won't be aware that Western Power have just recently spent millions of dollars upgrading their Yokine substation, which is right at the back of the bottle shop and the flower shop, which has access from Flinders Street. One of the suggestions is that traffic to go to the bottle shop and the flower shop should in actual fact go down a narrow 2-lane laneway, make a sharp left-hand turn to access the bottle shop car parking area if they want to get to it from Flinders Street. How ridiculous is that before someone gets killed? And it is against a very, very hard new concrete fence. It's about 15 feet tall with barbed wire on it, put up by the Western Power. I'd like to move that the City of Stirling cease all activity in relation to this particular this activity at the present time. And
Mr. Brown, sorry to interrupt you. Before you put your motion, would you like me just to give you a brief rundown of that program?
You could.
I just think it's important perspective. So it was only because even at the end there where you mentioned that councillors would have endorsed this, councillors wouldn't know about this project yet. So council has endorsed the state shared pathway and cycling strategy.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. The letter I got here...
No, I'm aware. So the council have endorsed it to go out for consultation, but they haven't seen what the project will look like, just as you haven't. This is really very early. So it is extremely early to the point that this would have to come back to council before it goes out for any further spend for full consultation. This is really early stages trying to show that, to do exactly this, to show if we do something like this, is there a general support for shared cycleways through those sort of roads, like the Moreland Street Bicycle Boulevard. So it is very, very early stages, and it would be anticipated that if there was a general support from the community to do something and investigate it, then there would be a full report come back to council. There's still not even plans for that cycleway yet. That's all. So you're still welcome to put your motion, but I just don't want you to think this is advanced. In actual fact, this is probably one of those unintended consequences of trying to extra consult. People want a lot of consultation. We go out really early, but it's not at the stage that we're going to implement this cycleway at this stage, if that makes sense. Have I confused it or made it clearer?
With all due respect, I don't think the documentation that you've produced so far has in actual fact indicated that.
Sure.
And I don't believe that it's actually been advertised in the correct manner, even in the local newspaper, so that local residents who live in houses which they don't own and the properties they don't own as lessees are aware of this situation. Yes. And I think that the council could do a far better job in letting all those people know what's likely to happen. I'll leave it at that then.
No, you're welcome still to put the motion. I don't want to stop you. It won't hurt to put it because it'll bring it up to an agenda item. So
yeah, but I just read here that all councillors have been involved in adopting the Integrated Cycling Strategy 2015 and the LTCN Stage 1 Implementation Plan 2020.
Yes. But it's a very general, yes, but it's a general strategy about the framework sitting over the whole of the city. So it's not about programs.
All right, well, I'd still like to move that the councillors of the City of Stirling recommence this particular project in relation to the Hector Street cycleway and ensure that every resident and building occupier, sporting club and also emergency services and large government providers such as Western Power are fully aware of what is proposed in this particular activity.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And is there a seconder for that motion? Mr. Mitchell, Bob Mitchell has seconded that. A show of hands, please. All those in favour? Thank you. And those against? That motion is carried, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The second thing I'd like to say is congratulations to the rubbish, which I didn't know existed till just recently, the rubbish bin assistance program, which the council operates. Now, I've lived and worked in this area for 33 years now, and I never heard of it before. But Ash of the rubbish collection area mentioned to me the other day when I was complaining about bin rubbish on the street. And as I'm leaving the area in 2 weeks' time, and this will be my last annual general meeting.
Yeah, I don't know what we do without you, Mr. Brown.
But it won't be a ratepayer. That I was able to organise for him to have his rubbish bin collected, my neighbour, who I've been assisting for several years. And so thanks to the council for doing that.
You're welcome.
In relation to Farina Road and Dog Swamp, I am absolutely astounded that the council is trying to tell me that they do not have records of correspondence and meetings that I've had with a former retired officer in the council, and that you've got no record of the flooding that's occurring in Farina Road beside the Dog Swamp, which is not the road, but in actual fact the car parking area where you request residents to park so they can access the area. The place is completely flooded in winter or whenever we have rains. And there is no way the water can dry up unless the sun comes out, because there is no drainage provided in that car parking area for about 5 vehicles. It is used, and I've often been there because I walk around, as most of you councillors would know, Dog Swamp, and Mr Littleton, who I'm sad to say is leaving the City of Stirling, but I wish him all the best in the future in Canning. And I'm told that there's no money to fix it. I'm astounded that the council cannot fix something that was brought to the attention of the council on Monday the 17th of August 2000 at 10 a.m. in the morning, when I had an on-site inspection with Laxman Gomez. Other issues were fixed up, but this one's been obviously swept under the carpet. Will the council do something about it before the beginning of this winter, to try and ensure that the water is removed? The other...
Would you like me to get a response from Mr Littleton?
Yes.
Let's make him work.
He's all there. Well, I made him work on his first day here, so I might as well do it almost his last day.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the question, Mr Brown. Look, as you would know, you've sent through that specific concern or query to me. I am obviously following that up with the team. We'll come back and provide you with a response, certainly before you leave the city.
Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that greatly. In relation to Dog Swamp, or Dirt Swamp, as people say, I've had numerous emails and letters to the council in relation to the closing of the walkway. I'm told that some of the supports of the walkway aren't stable. And I appreciate the fact that you might have had to defer it for the year when the COVID issues occurred. But I'm astounded that we still haven't got any funding approved to fix the walkway and make it accessible to families that are in 2 different council electorates, on both sides of Wanneroo Road, who enjoy the place. And it's a wonderful, relaxing location for people. And I think about the person I found there who was lying on the pathways there, and I had to call the police and ambulance to collect them. They were obviously just lying there relaxing, enjoying the birds around the place. And I think that you should enable people to use the facilities that you do provide and to keep them maintained. And I'd ask the council to make certain, and councillors, to make certain that Dog Swamp Bridge is fixed up in the next budget, please.
Thank you, Mr Brown. We'll follow up on that for you.
My last comment is in relation to, my second last comment is in relation to responses to emails. I occasionally send copies of emails to councillors, and I must say that we must have the poorest of councillors, no disrespect to everybody, but some, in relation to never even acknowledging that they've got the email or that they're interested in the issues that you raise. And I think it's important for councillors who are elected by the ratepayers to acknowledge or to say that they don't support it, or they will support it, or they'll take the matter up on your behalf as well. I think that it would improve the rapport of the council if the councillors in actual fact responded. In my years of being here, I was even told that I waited to meet you to make certain you were a person. And I took that as a real offence. And I'd hate that to happen to any other ratepayer who is told that by a current councillor who's not here tonight. My last question is...
And I'm sorry to hear that, Mr Brown. That's not acceptable. Councillors should be responding.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. My last question is in relation to the vacancy, which will obviously occur, or the reappointment, which will necessarily occur on the 4th of April 2023. And my first question is the CEO still a preserved CEO?
Yes.
does that mean that the CEO, on the cessation of his current agreement on the 4th of April 2023, automatically, does it mean that his position is not automatically advertised in the West Australian, because under the current provisions, all CEO appointments must be advertised after 10 years?
Yes, he must be advertised.
It must be advertised?
It must be advertised, Mr Brown.
Very good. And I wish the council all the very best in their deliberations in years to come, and I just hope that the switchboard operators are able to respond to your calls faster than what they do today. Thank you very much.
We'll let them know. Thank you, Mr Brown. Leisha Jack. Thank you. Your name and suburb?
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, staff and ratepayers. Excuse me, I've come straight from Pilates.
That's all right.
Okay, look, on the subject of the CEO, I just did have a question, which is, could the Mayor please explain to us in the gallery where the CEO, Mr Jardine, is at the moment and why he isn't at the electors meeting? And is he on city business? And if so, what is he doing?
He's at home isolating, Ms Jack.
Oh, okay.
He's been ordered to stay at home and isolate.
Okay,
That's
right.
the same reason we have several councillors not here as well.
That's fine. I just wondered.
And another director.
That's well, I just wondered because normally the CEO would.
I know, and I can assure you, Mr Jardine is always very keen to attend these meetings.
Okay, all right.
And I know he'll be watching at home. We could.
Hi, Humphrey. Sorry, Stuart. Sorry. Freudian slip. Right. I have a question about the Mount Lawley Golf Club, and then I have a motion that is related.
Sure.
Okay, the Mount Lawley Golf Club has been implementing their 2015 master plan for years, including the removal of many healthy canopy trees and bushland and trees to create a 19th hole. The strategic plan did not go to council for approval. Officers say they haven't seen the master plan. So my question is this: did the Mount Lawley Golf Club conceal the 2015 master plan from city officers?
Thank you. Look, I'll give you my answer first of all, and I think it's important to keep this in perspective. We wouldn't see a master plan of any of our clubs or groups throughout the City of Stirling as they develop strategic plans or anything like those necessarily in a draft form. For us, the master plan probably isn't the issue. It's a tree management plan part of it that certainly this council would expect to see. But I'll get Mr Littleton to provide an update.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I can only confirm the master plan is not necessarily the issue that the city or council should adopt, but where it relates to tree removal, that is the thing that will need to come to council. So as we've had the conversation, the issue here is that we appreciate that they are currently revising their master plan. That will require a tree management plan to reference it, and once that tree management plan is presented, it will be presented to council for endorsement. Logically, the master plan that would reference the tree management plan will be provided as a supporting document. So that's where the current situation is at. I don't know that the 2015 master plan that you referenced has been hidden per se, but it's not necessarily something that we've needed to reference.
Okay. Who approved the creation of the 19th hole at the Mount Lawley Golf Club?
Mr Littleton?
The city endorsed the application to DPLH for the clearing permit for the 19th hole. The approval process was conducted in 2017, so it was certainly endorsed by the city. I think we've had some conversations as to whether that 2017 application came to council. I am just trying to confirm that, but it is likely that it did not.
And why did the Yokine master plan, golf club master plan, go to full council?
Thank you, Ms. Jack. Mr. Littleton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not exactly sure what happened with the WA Golf Club master plan. I'd need to come back to you with that, Ms. Jack.
Okay. So I have a motion relating to that, and that motion is, could all sporting club strategic long-term master plans go to full council for approval in the future?
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion? Mr. Wheeler, Simon Wheeler has seconded that. I will put that motion. All those in favour, please. Thank you. And those opposed? That motion is carried.
Thank you. Okay. A second motion is that the city review and update the urgency level to act immediately on mitigating the urban heat island effect in the City of Stirling's 2013 Climate Adaptation Plan, and amplify the warnings on the city's health and safety page to include encouraging people to retain and grow strategically positioned shade trees to reduce temperatures in their homes and gardens in case of blackouts and air conditioning failures during heat waves.
Thank you. Is there a... Sorry, is that one finished? Yes?
Well, I could speak to that motion. That was a motion.
Sure, let's get a seconder. Is there a seconder for that motion? Kieran Kelly, thank you. Would you like to say something before we put it to the vote?
I just think it's really important that the city begin to acknowledge the seriousness, the serious public health issues related to rising temperatures and deadly heat waves, as I keep saying, that kill more people than all natural disasters, bushfires and road accidents combined in Perth.
Thank you. And I will put that motion now. If you're in favour of that motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. If you're opposed, that is carried. Thank you.
Okay. Also in relation to that, another motion that the city create a draft scheme amendment for the town planning scheme to protect trees above 5 metres tall or 1 metre in diameter on privately owned land to halt the destruction of our urban forest to mitigate against rising temperatures.
Thank you. And is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you. And just up the front, if you can just say your name out loud for me. Thank you. And would you like to say anything about that before I put it to the vote?
Well, I think I've explained that already.
Self-explanatory. Show of hands, please, if you're in favour of that motion. Thank you. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you.
And I also have another motion, and that motion is that officers provide elected members with better information going forward so they can make better informed decisions.
Sure. Is there a specific... Do you want to make...
Well, I've just noticed lately, I've noticed a lot that a lot of the reports are lacking. They tend to promote developer greenwash or golf club greenwash, and then looking at the lease, for example, of the Mount Lawley Golf Club that was approved by council in August last year, and I don't think that councillors were given the full picture, all of the relevant information regarding the way that club had been looking after the land, the way the club had neglected the bushland. They were painted as being fabulous managers of the land, and in fact we're finding more and more that that wasn't the case. And just other things where I just noticed that councillors just really hadn't been given a full picture or a balanced report on all the facts that would help you all make more better and informed decisions.
Okay. We'll leave it as that then. And a seconder for that motion? Simon Wheeler, thank you. And I'll just have a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. And against? And that motion is carried.
Sorry, I do actually have one more motion.
You're on a roll.
Well, I am. I didn't
That's all
realise
right.
we could make so many. Okay.
I knew I should have put a limit.
Well, that the city,
you're welcome to.
I'll just quickly say this, that the city plants species of trees on verges that will provide 150% of canopy cover within 20 years of planting, and that property owners be forced to pay a hefty fine and the replacement cost of street trees that die from not being watered.
Thank you. And is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you. Up the front again. And would you like me to put that motion now? Do you want us to add
Yep,
to it?
no, that's fine.
Put the
I've
motion.
explained
All
why.
those in favour, please. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you. Now I have Leonie Carol Viana. Thank you. And just your name and suburb?
Leonie Caraviana, Hammersley. Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors.
Evening.
So, the electors of the City of Stirling request the council to advise the city that no further work should be carried out towards the rezoning of Bankshire Woodland threatened ecological community at Lot 802 and 803 Erindale Road, Hammersley, for residential or any other purpose other than conservation of that land. The Friends of Erindale Road bushland are seeking to conserve the established trees and understory plants on the land commonly known as the ABC aerial bushland, situated on the corner of Erindale Road and Reed Highway, Hammersley. This land was Crown land owned by the federal government until they sold it in 1999. The land is now owned by BAI Communications, a communications company based in Toronto, Canada, and majority owned by the Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board. BAI Communications have lodged an application with the City of Stirling to amend the local planning scheme and rezone the site to a development. This scheme amendment will require approval by the Minister for Planning once it has been advertised. We are seeking an assurance that the City of Stirling and councillors will only advertise an amendment to the local planning scheme to rezone this land in question to conservation and recreation only, for the purposes of preserving this valuable bushland consisting of established marries and threatened bankshires, xanthorrheas and a biodiverse understory. We request this land be preserved for current and future generations, kept as part of the Green Corridor following on from the City of Joondalup Warwick Open Space, and also be kept to ensure current and future foraging habitat for the endangered Carnaby cockatoo after the temporary loss of food sources at the Warwick Open Space due to a fire a couple of months ago. We seek assurance the City will not proceed with any structure plans now or in the future. That conflicts with this conservation and recreation zoning. So in regards to that, my motion would be that the City would ensure that this land is preserved as is in situ.
Thank you. So there is already a motion up very similar to that. Are you happy to roll that into that other motion? Perhaps, or we'll put this as a separate motion, but we'll probably bring it back to council as the same item.
As
if
a
that's
separate
right.
one, thank
so
you.
a seconder for this motion. Thank you, Kieran Kelly. And I will put that motion. All those in favour? Thank you. And against? That motion is carried.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
And quick question.
Sure.
So The city's A Million Trees project saw 9,000 trees planted and 8,000 shrubs planted in the last year, as witnessed on the earlier video. So I'd just like to know how many of the plants were Indigenous to the area they were planted in, and in the last year, how many established trees were lost in the city due to clearing of private land for subdivision or removal from council land for infrastructure requirements or due to dieback or disease.
Sure, and if we haven't received that, we might have to respond to you in writing, if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine. I'm happy to take it on advisement, for you to take it on advisement. The city also advised in the video that there's 758 hectares of bushland. Can the city please clarify what is their definition of bushland, and what areas of council land come under the heading of bushland?
Yes, we're happy to clarify all that in writing for you as well.
Lovely, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful to hear you on the radio this morning on 720 ABC.
Thank you. You're up early.
I am up early. Thank you.
Thank you. Melanie Audibon? Anderson, sorry.
Mr Mayor, councillors, electors, I would like to put forward a motion that the council affirm its commitment to the retention of the name Stirling, and that the council acknowledge the receipt of the petitions signed by ratepayers to this end. I presume you've received them?
Yes.
I've got a seconder.
Yes, a seconder. Danielle Irons, yes. And I will put that motion. All those in favour? And against? That motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all I have on my list. It's not to say there's anyone else out there who may wish to. Yes, up the back, if you'd like to come forward. Just your name and suburb.
Good evening. My name's Tonya Pajoli. I'm from Wembley Downs. So good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, staff and electors. I would like to ask the councillors and the Mayor to write to the Minister of Planning, Rita Safiotti, to review the approval of the Wembley Downs Hell Road Childcare Centre for a number of reasons related to not following policy and procedures, such as the information provided to the council and the DAP was not complete, in that the City of Stirling had approved a childcare centre, another one in such close proximity on Hell Road to the other approved one on Hell Road. So effectively, two childcare centres within a really close range of each other. The planning application to council was called in June 21 and was not called in, and the refusal was made in October, which did not allow the residents the right to comment on the proposal or allow councillors to discuss the application. And I can talk about that evening if you prefer, Mr Mayor, or I could just leave that. The evening of when you called it as caretaker, when in actual fact you told us that evening that it would be discussed by councillors. Discretionary powers were used to support the developer and discretionary powers were not used to support the interests of an estimated 1,000 residents who signed various petitions. So I ask that that motion be brought forward, please.
Sure. Is there a seconder for that motion? Sorry, is that Leisha Jack? I can see your hand. Yes, Leisha Jack has seconded. I will put that motion. All those in favour? And those against? That motion is carried.
Thank you. And I have another motion. I ask that the City of Stirling adopt Joondalup's policy on opposing daycare centres in residential areas, as it does affect residents who have actually bought homes in residential areas, not commercial areas.
Would you like that just as a question or a statement,
No,
or would
I'd
you like a
actually
motion?
like that motion so that councillors do discuss that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Simon Wheeler. And I will put that motion. All those in favour? Thank you. And
Thank
opposed? That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is there anyone else who has come in later and wishes to speak? If not, that does bring us to the closure of the meeting. In closing, I would like to advise that the minutes from the meeting this evening will be presented to the council meeting to be held on Tuesday, the 10th of May 2022. Thank you all very much for your patience and consideration this evening. And for those viewers at home who have watched, can I just also finish by, it's been mentioned before, but Mr Littleton will be leaving the city to take up a role as CEO of Canning. So in front of a representation of our electors, we would like to wish him very much all the best for your future, Michael. You have been a wonderful asset for the city and we're certainly going to miss you. Also to the CEO for his work this year, and to the executive team and all the staff, a huge thank you from me and the council on behalf of the community. And again, thank you everyone for your attendance and good night. (8:15)